Forget the Hollywood prepper fantasy. You know, the exact one. You, standing on your porch in tactical gear, blasting away at the apocalypse with a loud, heavy ADAR. 15. Let me give you a harsh reality check. In a true, long-term, grid-down scenario, a single unsuppressed 5.56 gunshot is not a show of force. It is a dinner bell for every desperate, starving looter within a 2-mile radius. Real survival is not about running and gunning. It is about staying hidden, staying quiet, and putting meat on the fire without making a sound. That is where the humble 22 LR becomes the undisputed king of the wasteland. It comes down to cold, hard logistics. You can carry 100 rounds of heavy 5.56 in your bug-out bag, or you can carry 1,000 rounds of 22 LDAR for the exact same weight. That is 100 chances to defend yourself versus 1,000 silent chances to actually feed your family. Today, we are tearing down the myths and exposing the top 7 compact 22L.R rifles that will actually keep you alive when the grocery store shelves go empty. I am going to show you the ultimate stealth tools, including a massive tactical cheat code at number 2 that instantly transforms the combat rifle you already own, and the absolute uncontested king of rimfire at number 1 that disappears into a standard day pack and snaps together in under 3 seconds. Drop your illusions, ignore the mainstream hype, and let's get into the list. Number 7, the Winchester Wildcat. Let us start by addressing the elephant in the room. A lot of the high-end gun snobs out there will look at a lightweight, budget-friendly polymer rifle and immediately dismiss it as a fragile plastic toy. That kind of elite arrogance is exactly what will leave them starving in a grid-down scenario. The Wildcat is the modern underdog, and it is an absolute sleeper agent for serious survivalists. When society collapses, you are not going to have a clean, brightly lit workbench and a specialized kit of gunsmithing tools to maintain your weapons. You are going to be in the dirt, in the dark, and constantly on the move. That is where the Wildcat brutally outsmarts rifles that cost 3 times as much. Located at the rear of the receiver is a single red button. You push that one button, and the entire lower receiver assembly, your trigger group, your sear, and your magazine release drops right out into your hand. 0 tools required. You can wipe out the thick carbon fouling, run a cleaning patch through the barrel from the rear, and snap the whole thing back together in 60 seconds flat while sitting on a wet stump in the middle of nowhere. But here is the real secret to why this rifle made the cut. In a long-term collapse, your survival depends entirely on your ability to scavenge. Having a rifle that relies on rare, proprietary magazines is a total death sentence if you happen to lose your only spare in the brush. Winchester understood this assignment perfectly. They designed the Wildcat to feed flawlessly from standard Ruger 10-22 magazines. The 10-22 is the most prolific rimfire rifle on the planet. If you are scavenging an abandoned area or forced to barter with another survivor, the odds are incredibly high that you will find 10-22 magazines. That kind of cross-compatibility is exactly what ensures your gun stays fed when the supply chains turn to dust. Weighing in at a microscopic 4 pounds, it is a rifle you can sling over your shoulder all day long without burning those precious, irreplaceable calories. It proves that you do not need to drain your bank account to put meat on the table. Number 6, the Henry U.S. Survival AR-7. A lot of guys see a gun that packs away into its own stock and immediately dismiss it as a novelty gimmick. Just a neat little party trick to show off at the firing range. But there is a profound reason this specific design has been around for decades. It was originally engineered by Eugene Stoner, the very same mind behind the ADAR. 15. For United States Air Force pilots bailing out over hostile, unforgiving territory. It is the ultimate pilot's insurance policy, designed for one singular, brutal purpose, keeping you alive when you are completely alone and deeply outgunned. The magic of the ADAR. 7 is its disappearing act. The barrel, the receiver, and 2 8-round magazines all detach and stow perfectly inside the impact-resistant polymer stock. You snap the butt pad on, and suddenly your rifle is just a compact 16.5-inch package that is completely sealed and waterproof. If you happen to drop it in a fast-moving river while crossing, it will literally float. You can stash it behind the seat of your truck, stuff it at the bottom of a dry bag, or bury it deep in your bug-out gear, and completely forget about it until the exact moment your life depends on it. But I am going to level with you here, and you need to listen closely because mainstream reviewers often gloss right over this. In the broader gun community, the ADAR-7 has a nasty reputation for being a jam-o-matic. A lot of weekend preppers will buy one, load it up with the absolute cheapest bucket of dirty bulk pack lead nose ammo they can find at a big box store, and then act shocked it constantly fails to feed. That is a rookie mistake, and in a survival situation, a jammed action means a missed meal. The truth is, the ADAR-7 has a heavy bolt and dual recoil springs. It absolutely demands high-velocity, copper-plated ammunition to cycle properly. You feed it quality, high-pressure rounds like Seed-Sai, mini-mags, and it will run like a sewing machine. You try to feed it cheap garbage, and you will be fighting malfunctions all day. Do not treat this like a high-volume range toy. Treat it exactly like the emergency survival tool it was engineered to be. Understand its diet, keep it clean, and the ADAR-7 quietly do exactly what it was built to do: keep you breathing. Before we get into the top 5, I need to ask you a serious question. Do you have a dedicated 22 caliber rifle in your bug-out plan for silent hunting? Or are you still banking entirely on your loud centerfire rifles to keep you fed? Tell me your thoughts down in the comments below, because relying purely on a combat rifle for your daily calories could be a fatal amateur mistake. Let us see who in this community is actually prepared. Number 5, the Chiappa, Little Badger. Let us be brutally honest for a second. When you first look at this thing, it barely even looks like a firearm. It looks like a makeshift piece of plumbing you would find scrapped together. In a post-apocalyptic wasteland, a lot of gear snobs will laugh at it, and that is exactly what makes it so incredibly brilliant. It is the absolute definition of extreme minimalism, making it the ultimate gray man tool for a stealth survivalist. This is a single-shot, break-action rifle that weighs less than 3 pounds and folds completely in half. We are talking about a footprint so unbelievably small that it disappears entirely into an ordinary, non-tactical day pack. When you are navigating through a desperate, collapsing city, blending in and looking completely unarmed is your greatest camouflage. The Little Badger lets you move through crowds without making yourself a target. But do not let that skeletal frame fool you into thinking it is a toy. Chiappa built this little workhorse with a threaded barrel right from the factory. You screw a suppressor onto the end of this break action, and you have achieved peak stealth. Because it is a single-shot system, there is no heavy bolt clacking back and forth to eject a shell. The only sound it makes is the quiet click of the hammer and the impact of the round hitting your dinner. It strips away all the tactical crutches and forces you to rely on raw fundamentals. One perfectly placed, dead, silent shot. Now, here is the insider secret that separates the seasoned survivalists from the weekend hobbyists. Out of the box. That thin wire stock is cold and completely uncomfortable against your face. But true operators know about the mandatory paracord modification. You tightly wrap that skeletal wireframe in 50 to 100 feet of high-quality 550 survival paracord. Not only does this instantly give you a comfortable cheek weld for making precision shots, but you are also permanently attaching a Selch life-saving cordage directly to your weapon. You can even weave in a small pouch to hold a magnesium fire starter, water purification tablets, and an extra 50 rounds of hollow points. It transforms a crude piece of bent wire into a fully self-contained, unkillable survival kit. Number 4. The Savage Mark, 2FVV-SR. There is a dangerous, deep-rooted misconception in the modern firearms community that you always need a semi-automatic weapon. People have been completely brainwashed by the tactical industry into thinking that if you cannot dump a 10-round magazine in 3 seconds, you are horribly undergunned. But when it comes to true, long-term survival and staying completely off the radar, semi-automatics have a massive, glaring flaw. They are mechanically noisy, and when they get choked up with thick carbon and field dirt, after months without proper cleaning, they will eventually fail you. This is where a rugged, budget-friendly workhorse like the Savage Mark II steps in and completely rewrites the rules of engagement. It is a bolt-action rimfire, meaning it relies entirely on your physical muscle to cycle the weapon, not gas or blowback pressure. It simply does not jam. But we are not talking about just any standard Savage model here. We are specifically looking at the FDV-S.R. Out of the box, this specific model comes equipped with a heavy fluted suppressor, ready threaded barrel, and an oversized tactical bolt handle for rapid, reliable cycling. Even when your hands are freezing cold or wrapped in thick winter gloves, it is built for absolute utility. Now, let me break down the actual mechanics of stealth for a moment, because most casual shooters do not understand how sound actually works with a semi-automatic rifle. Even if you attach a high-end suppressor, you still have the loud, metallic clack of the bolt slamming violently back and forth with every single trigger pull. That mechanical action noise carries incredibly far through the silent woods. With the Savage Mark II, that action is locked completely solid. When you thread a suppressor onto the end of this heavy barrel and feed it quality, subsonic ammunition, you achieve something that is almost impossible to find in the real world: literal Hollywood quiet. Because the round never breaks the sound barrier, there is no miniature sonic boom cracking through the air. And because the bolt remains firmly locked until you manually open it, there is absolutely no mechanical clatter. The only sounds you will hear are the tiny metallic click of the firing pin dropping and the devastating thwack of the bullet hitting your dinner. It turns you into an absolute ambush predator, allowing you to harvest game from a tree line without alerting a single hostile soul in the area. Number 3, the CZ457 Synthetic, or its ultra-compact brother, the CZ457 Scout. We just talked about the Savage Mark II, and do not get me wrong, it is a fantastic, budget-friendly workhorse. But right now, we are elevating the stakes. Let me paint a very real picture for you. 6 months into a societal collapse, the easy game will be completely gone. The woods will be heavily overhunted by desperate, starving people. The remaining animals are going to be incredibly skittish. You are not going to be taking relaxed, wide-open shots at 20 yards. You are going to be forced to thread the needle through thick brush in fading light at 75 or even 100 yards. A lot of amateur preppers think any cheap, hand-me-down rimfire is perfectly fine for survival. That is a massive, dangerous gamble when your family's daily calories are literally on the line. When you only get one fleeting opportunity to pull the trigger, good enough accuracy is exactly how you end up going to sleep hungry. In that moment, you do not need a basic tool, you need a surgeon's scalpel. That is exactly what the CZ457 brings to the table. This is European match-grade precision, scaled down into a rugged field-ready package. We are talking about a premium, cold hammer-forged barrel that is built to outlast you, paired with a fully adjustable trigger that breaks like shards of pure glass. You pair a CZ457 with high-quality ammunition, and you are no longer just aiming at the animal. You are literally taking the heads off small game at 100 yards, so you do not ruin an ounce of precious meat. The synthetic model gives you a weatherproof, indestructible stock that shrugs off freezing rain and absolute abuse, while the shorter Scout model provides extreme maneuverability if you are trekking through dense vegetation. Both options come ready with threaded barrels, turning them into perfect suppressor hosts for that critical dead silent hunting capability we talked about. This rifle requires an investment up front, but it pays you back in absolute certainty. It is not just a piece of survival gear, it is an heirloom quality instrument that guarantees one undeniable rule of the wasteland. One perfectly placed shot equals one meal. When failure is not an option, the CZ457 is the rifle you want in your hands. Number 2, the CMMG Bravo 22 Eldar conversion kit. Prepare yourself, because we are about to throw a massive twist into this list. I promised you the absolute best stealth survival tools on the market. But the second most important item on our list is not even a standalone rifle. It is a literal survival cheat code that completely redefines the rules of engagement. Think back to the very beginning of this video. We talked about the fatal flaw of relying solely on a loud, aggressive 5.56 ADR-15 for your daily survival. It draws a terrifying amount of attention, and the ammunition is incredibly heavy. But let us be ruthlessly practical for a second. If you find yourself backed into a corner facing an actual, armed threat from hostile looters, a .22 caliber bolt action is simply not going to save your life. You desperately need your primary battle rifle. So, what exactly do you do? Do you sling a heavy ADR-15 over your back and carry a second, dedicated rimfire rifle in your hands? That is absolute amateur hour. In a bug-out scenario, ounces equal pounds, and pounds equal pain. Hauling 2 full-sized rifles will exhaust your body, destroy your mobility, and drain your precious calories before you even reach your bug-out location. This is exactly where the CMMG Bravo kit steps in as a piece of pure tactical genius. It is a self-contained, drop-in bolt carrier group that instantly transforms your 5.6 ADR-15 into a .22 Eldar foraging machine. You do not need a gunsmith. You do not need any tools. You simply pop the rear takedown pin on your ADR, pull out your standard 5.56 bolt carrier group, drop the CMMG unit right into the upper receiver, and push the pin back in. In less than 10 seconds, your loud primary combat weapon is now a quiet, low-recoil rimfire survival rifle. The tactical advantage of this cannot be overstated. You are using the exact same rifle you have already trained with. You get to keep your exact same trigger pull, your familiar sling setup, your weapon light, and your customized stock length. But most importantly, you are looking through the exact same high-end, zeroed optics that you already paid good money for. You do not have to adapt to a cheap, secondary weapon system when you are stressed, freezing, and hungry. You just change its diet. You can keep this stainless steel conversion bolt in a small side pouch of your backpack, alongside 1,000 rounds of .22 caliber ammunition, taking up virtually zero space. Now, as an expert, I have to give you the honest reality check, because a standard ADR-15 barrel has a faster twist rate designed specifically for heavier 5.56 projectiles. The lighter .22 Eldar bullet will not be stabilized perfectly. This means it is not a 100-yard precision sniper like the CZ457 we just talked about. It is a 30 to 50-yard meat getter. But for the sheer, undeniable versatility of turning your main combat chassis into a multi-caliber survival system in a matter of seconds, the CMMG Bravo kit is the greatest preparedness hack on the market today. Number 1. The absolute, uncontested king of survival firearms. The Ruger 1022 Takedown, but specifically upgraded with the Magpul X22 backpacker stock. There is zero debate here. If the grid goes completely dark tomorrow, panic floods the streets, and you only have 5 seconds to grab one single firearm to guarantee your family does not starve, this is the holy grail. The standard Ruger 1022 is already the most proven, reliable, and widely used rimfire platform in human history. But in a survival scenario, a full-length wooden stock is a massive liability. It snags on brush, it is awkwardly heavy, and it screams to everyone around you that you are heavily armed. That is exactly why dropping a Takedown model into the Magpul backpacker chassis elevates this weapon from a simple plinker to an absolute god-tier survival asset. The design is nothing short of engineering brilliance. You drop the magazine, lock the bolt back, flip one recessed lever, and give the barrel a quick twist. The entire front half of the rifle detaches, and then securely snaps directly into the underside of the buttstock. In 3 seconds, you have transformed a full-length hunting rifle into a compact, hardened block of polymer that completely disappears into the bottom of a normal, beat-up school backpack. You do not need a giant tactical rifle case that makes you a primary target for scavengers. You are a ghost. But the stealth profile is only half the story. The Magpul stock turns this rifle into a completely self-sustaining ecosystem. The cheek riser pops open to reveal a hidden storage compartment specifically molded to hold 3 extra 10-round rotary magazines. The pistol grip features a water-resistant compartment that is perfectly sized to hold a bore snake, some hex keys, and a bundle of waterproof matches. You do not need to scramble to find your spare magazines or cleaning gear. You just grab the gun, and your entire foraging kit goes with you. Now, I am going to expose a massive internet myth right here. And this is the kind of insider knowledge that separates the professionals from the keyboard warriors. If you spend any time on online gun forums, you will constantly hear amateur shooters whining that the 1022 Takedown loses its zero every time you take it apart. They claim the point of impact shifts, making it useless for precision hunting. Let me tell you a harsh truth. That is pure user error from people who flat out refuse to read a factory manual. They treat a precision instrument like a cheap toy. Right at the front of the receiver, there is a steel barrel tension ring. When you buy this rifle, you are supposed to insert the barrel, hand tighten that tension ring until it is completely snug, remove the barrel, give the ring 1 or 2 more clicks of tension, and then lock the barrel back in. You cycle the bolt a few times to properly seat the massive locking lug, and you are done. If you follow that simple, 5-minute factory procedure, the lockup is vault door tight. Your zero will not shift, period. When you combine the flawless reliability of the Ruger action, the gray man stealth of the Magpul Takedown system, and the onboard storage for extra ammunition, this setup is completely untouchable. It is the one firearm that practically guarantees you will be eating meat over a quiet fire, while everyone else is freezing and starving in the dark. In the end, surviving a societal collapse is not about who has the most expensive tactical gear or the loudest combat rifle. It is a brutal, unforgiving war of attrition. The people who actually make it out alive are the ones who can quietly secure their daily calories without drawing a crosshair on their own backs. In a world gone mad, silence is safety, and meat is life. If you want to stay ahead of the curve, protect your family, and avoid the amateur traps that will get most people killed, you need the right intel. Subscribe and turn on notifications right now, so you do not miss our next critical tactical update. The unprepared and the arrogant will be the very first to fall when the system finally breaks. Make sure you are not one of them. Stay quiet, stay hidden, and stay dangerous.